Welcome to the Panic Button. Today we're going to be reacting to Pierce Morgan and Douglas Murray. What is going on? Pierce Morgan reacts to children identifying as animals in school. We're going to go a little bit past the child identifying as an animal in school because we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the argument here.
A poll that just got published in the United States showed that among the general population, support for gay marriage has been starting to decline in the last year. Why is that? It's because the arguments that actually brought about liberal rights for all minorities in the last few decades have started to get turned on their head and turned against people. What is the source of that? It is the gender ideology movement. What is the tripwire for the general public? It is children. It is people learning that their children are being taught nonsensical things.
See, and I can't agree with Douglas more on this one, man. I've read his books, and what he's saying is just complete fact. Us gays, we just wanted to be left alone. You don't have to accept our lifestyle. You don't have to believe in it. Just leave us alone. Let us live our lives. You live your life. But this, when these activists, these radicals come in to what was peaceful at one time, our group, which I is not my group anymore, and comes in and starts going for children. That bothers me. Because us gay people didn't say, let's go into the schools and talk to children about being gay. We didn't say that. We never pushed for that. No. We don't want to talk to your kids. We just want to be left alone. But when the gender activists come in and they're like, hey, we want to talk to your kids because there's probably some trans kids who are in there who are confused. We need to talk to them about this. That's crossing a line. Other people's kids are not our responsibility. You know what I mean? Unless it's something like someone is attacking them and we could see something is horribly going on at home and then we might need to call somebody. Aside from that, other people's kids, leave them the fuck alone. What are you doing? Why do you care so much about other people's kids? I'm very, very suspicious about these people when they start going after kids. And because of that, people are like, whoa, we said you can live your lives, but now you're saying you want to talk to our kids? No. No. I completely agree that parents, and only the parents, have the responsibility of talking to their kids about that stuff if they want to. If they want to fuck up their kid and talk to their child at the age of 3 about this gender ideology shit, that is your kid. You can do it if you want to. Fine. But when you want to talk to other people's kids, I'm starting to think not very nice things about you. And I can't say them on YouTube. But now because of this, coming after their kids, they're like, whoa, we gave gays an inch and they took a mile. Not the real gays. Not the people who have been here from the beginning. We didn't want this. We didn't ask for this. And that's why this is not our community. We are outliers now. The OGs of this movement are now outliers. We had to walk away. We weren't pushed out. We said, fuck this. This is nuts. And we said, sayonara, y'all gonna burn your fucking selves to the ground. That's what's gonna happen. We said, adios. This is not going to happen. And so we fight back. And we get a fuck ton of hate. But I've been in middle school. I've been in high school. I've been bullied. So any hate that we get, it does nothing. The only people who get bullied by these activists who are on the outside of this are people who fold. Like, there are people out there the activists go after and they can't touch them. Because we've been through so much shit. We've been through horrible things. So we're so desensitized that when someone calls us a name, this is nothing. It's sad that a lot of people get pushed around just by being called a name. And unfortunately, children of today are being taught to not have tough skin, but to fold, cry, and scream whenever their feelings are hurt. Instead of trying to look inside of me like, why did that offend me? Why did that hurt me? Is it because that person's just an asshole? And if so, would screaming that at them actually do anything? No, so why would I waste my time? Why don't I do something that allows me to be able to interact with horrible people and not be affected. Why don't I work on that instead? Because I can't change people.
Being seen by the wider public, most of whom are heterosexual and don't need to identify as cis or anything else, it is being seen from that vantage point as the LGBTQIA plus movement losing control of itself. And so a backlash is starting. And the backlash is coming because people are lying to children and are using children for medical experiments. There's nothing funny about that. There's nothing that should cause levity in that.
You have to ask yourself this question. Why are so many people like Dylan Mulvaney and these adult trans people, why are so many of them pushing puberty blockers when none of them want on them? How can you say something is okay when you've never experienced it? Doesn't that make you a little suspicious of that person? If they went on puberty blockers and everything turned out okay and they're happy, why aren't those people? Why am I not hearing anything from those people, but I'm hearing a shit ton of people who never went through it trying to push it on kids?
It should be treated by adults seriously.
So, Douglas, it's really important, actually, all of that point that you've just brought up, it's very on brand for you because, you like to stoke fear. You've actually made a career out of it.
When you are watching people debate, the telltale sign that someone does not have a good argument and retort is when they start going after the other person personally, instead of making a good argument back.
Fear. You've actually made a career out of it. I'll take you back to your book, The Strange Death of Europe, and you made a big fright. You frightened the entire public about your thoughts on Europe, and we ended up in Brexit.
Can we stick on to the theme?
I will. And then, now we're talking about LGBTQ,
if I may say so
and you're
very
creating...
quickly,
Hang on,
Piers.
you spoke, I'm speaking.
Well, I'll reply.
Hello. I haven't
Let
finished.
Ava speak, please.
Now,
Douglas.
back on the trans issue, when you're talking about LGBTQ, what you've just done there is basically say that the whole of America, who have historically had a problem with gay marriage, are now turning on it because a couple of children in a classroom in Sussex want to be a cat. If you can't see the ridiculousness in that argument, I can't help you.
The bigger issue
first of
is
all, I
there
must
is no
respond
such
to
thing
Ava,
as gender
Piers.
ideology. We
I
all
must
have
respond
gender
to Ava.
identities. You identify as a man, and I fully respect you.
Well, no.
No, we do not all have gender identities. I am not the type of person who is going to base my sole identity on my gender. I don't identify as anything but myself. I don't sift myself down to this one insignificant thing about myself as my entire identity. I don't identify as a woman. I am a woman. I don't identify as a lesbian. I am a lesbian.
You identify as a man, and I fully respect you.
Well, no, hang on. I don't identify as a man. I was born a biological
Yes,
male.
yes.
That's where this whole thing
Piers, you need to let me
goes
comment.
I think when it comes to identity and reality, they're two entirely different things because reality is your man, but your identity is a woman. They're completely separate, split things. How you see yourself and how the world sees you. I don't go around telling everybody how I see myself because that just sounds like I'm an asshole. Like I'm a vain asshole and I need to tell everyone how I see myself because I'm so important. People have lives. People are going through a lot of shit. They don't have time to think about some stranger and what that stranger thinks about themselves. What they think about that stranger is that person has a lot of time on their hands to think about things, and they're not going through half the shit that I am right now. That's what that stranger is thinking about the crazy person trying to tell strangers about their identity. And if you have to tell people about your identity and how you identify, then that means it's not coming across to the general public how you see yourself. So you're not doing a good job at projecting your identity to the world. You're doing a very terrible job.
That's where the whole debate goes rogue. You were born a biological male. You were born a biological female. Douglas, biological male. This is just a fact, right?
No.
Once you start saying there are hundreds of genders and you can identify as anything you want, you're going to end up with kids at school going, I'm a horse. And you've got to treat me like a horse.
Piers, you're confusing two things.
No, I'm not.
Sex and gender.
I'm not.
I
because
accept
they are being conflated.
biological sex is one thing which I totally accept, and so do 99% of the people in the LGBT plus community. Gender is something different. Gender identity is how you see yourself.
And do you believe it's limitless?
No, I don't believe it's limitless.
And also, why does anyone else need to know how you see yourself? You know what I mean? Why do I need to know how you see yourself? shouldn't it only matter to you how you see yourself? Why should it matter to me? You know, that sounds like someone who is trying to give a lot of control to strangers about how they feel about themselves. And that is definitely a mental illness. If I am comfortable in who I am and I know who the fuck I am, I don't need to tell anybody else because they'll see it by how I portray myself. I shouldn't have to fucking tell them unless I'm doing a really bad job at it. And if I did have to tell them, that's saying a lot more about me to them than it is about, you know? Anyway, it's just frustrating.
What's the limit?
There was basically male and female and intersex, but there are people who have different gender identities.
No, but how many genders are there?
Well, there is no fixed number.
So what's the limit?
I don't see a particular limit.
There's no limit. So when you said there's no, you said there is a limit. Now you admit there's no limit.
Sorry.
Why does someone's identity need to be public if they're portraying their identity to the world? And why does it matter how other people see you if you're comfortable in how you see yourself? Why do other people that you don't even know have so much control over your feelings and how you feel about yourself? Does that mean that you're just a reflection of how everyone sees you? Or does that mean that how you see yourself, you're going to have to force on other people because they can't read your mind? I mean, it's crazy. I'm watching a documentary after this on why they eradicated a lot of psychiatric wards because I really feel that we need to bring them back more than ever now.
Is there a limit to number of genders?
Well, there are some people who are asexual. That's an identity.
No, there are
some
the BBC.
people-
The BBC has put in education videos. There are 100+ genders.
Well, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with
So
that.
what is the limit? What's the number?
I'm not going to specify a particular number, but it's very small.
But where do
Very
you draw?
small.
Where do you draw the line?
Well, I draw the line based on science and evidence. And we know that there is a thing called intersex, where people are born with a mixture of both.
That is
male,
literally what it says.
That's another thing about the LGBTQ identity community that I can't stand, even though it's not a community, is that nobody can agree on one thing. You can ask 20 people in the quote-unquote community one question, and you'll get a variety of answers. You'll never get a straight, succinct answer. You'll get a lot of different ones. Nobody can agree on anything, so how can we be a community if we can't even agree on anything?
I don't know, Ava, anything about your career. I don't know if you have one. But you did try to imply that you knew something about mine, and you just showed you know nothing about it, because actually my 2017 bestseller, The Strange Death of Europe, was not about the EU. So you should learn at some point to read more than the title of the book
about
before
Europe.
comment. Very
You've
quickly,
built a
let me...
career out of fear-mongering, and you're now importing
but
those
you haven't even
evangelical
built
American
a career.
ideas onto UK
You haven't
television.
even
It's
built
very
a
odd.
career, have you?
Douglas Murray has been pushing back against fear-mongering, because the trans activists are actually the ones doing the fear-mongering by telling people that if they don't affirm, then the child is going to no longer be with us. So Douglas Murray is pushing back against the fear-mongering of the gender activists. This woman, I don't know if she's drunk or if she just hasn't had enough sleep. Okay, so that was entertaining. Put in the comments below what you think, and I'll see you guys next time.